Welcome to Storytelling with Lindsay Bednar. Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Oh, good. How are you doing?
I'm good.
Good. Fun to see you again.
It is so fun to see you. Thank you.
So, how have you been?
I'm good. Yeah, I'm happy to be kind of like back to routines a little bit. It's Fall is completely chaotic. With my daughter's a senior now, so she's in volleyball at the high school on varsity, right? My middle daughter is now a freshman and she is on the soccer team for the high school. And then my youngest is in volleyball for like a club, select across the way, across town. And then my husband coaches his own high school volleyball team, varsity. So, I mean, just layer all those schedules on top of each other. I mean, I texted my family. I'm like, well, the Dierkhising game schedule is stacked this week. If any of you want to catch a game, this week's the week to do it because we're there, and they're all kind of local this week, which is good. But
It's
so,
wild.
but there's also something refreshing about just like, I'm not, I can't plan much, right? We didn't do much this last weekend because I'm just like, you can't fill anymore. So I'm just on for like, get in the car, watch the sports game, get in the car, go to the next game.
Yeah.
I don't even know what we're doing for dinner.
Oh my gosh, every night. That is like the bane of my existence. And I feel like because you're always managing so many different schedules, so then trying to figure out who's coming home when, what you can keep hot, like, yeah. And we only have two. So with three busy athletes, I'm sure it's nuts,
It's
but
fun.
also like the best.
Yeah. Why, my wise friends with older kids are like, just treasure this moment. And now even seeing, you know, I want to say I miss those days of when they were like 4 and 9, right? Like kind of that age. So like, I don't know what happened. It just gone in a blink. And I'm now in the zone where I'm like, I'm just going to enjoy this because it's not going to be, or like if I want to complain about driving or the chaos or whatever. And then I'm like, it's not going to be like this in 2 years, even,
Right.
and for sure not in 4 to 5 years. So this is my era of just, locking in for this. And I'm not going to worry about if I can't go, we're traveling as much as I want to, or picking where I want to go instead of going to Kansas City and Illinois or Indiana, right? For all
Right.
the sports tourneys.
Right. You just kind of put all of that stuff to the side. And I mean, I was just talking to someone the other day and I'm like, well, my social life is all my kids, the teammates, parents, and you do grow this like little village and it's awesome. And yeah, it's going to be over before we know it. And you have a senior, so that's got to be wild in all the feels.
It is
Yeah.
so far so good, but it's going to be a lot.
Yeah. I love connecting with entrepreneurs because I feel like there's so many hats that we wear. And even when I talk to people and they say like, oh, what do you do? Trying to just put it into like simple terms. I can say I'm a book publisher, I have a podcast, but there's so many other arms and legs, and usually it leads to more questions. But with all the things you have going on, when people say, "Oh, What is it that you do?" How do you even begin to define it?
Answer. Yeah. We actually had an event, a Power of She event specifically for this topic because it is so hard as especially as women, like, and we take such pride in not only do this might be my career, but then I also have this, or I also like passion projects or other yeah, either companies or whatever, things that were involved in, nonprofits, whatever it might be. So it's hard. I mean, I've been in real estate forever, so a lot of times I start with that. I was a lender for forever. This year, I officially resigned as a mortgage lender, though. So that is like officially starting a whole new chapter and allowing more space for other things, which I love. But Crispin Green right now is my baby. So I own the two, Blaine and Stillwater. But that came out of the Power of She, the women's business group. Started off with just a handful of us women entrepreneurs that selfishly I wanted to just be able to have a room and or just get together with other women that are kind of doing the same thing that I was doing. Um, to really like share that energy, right? So it's hard. It's really hard to be in the beginning. It's great in your 20s and your power, you're running, you're doing your career, and then you're like, I want to share my life with somebody. I want to get married. I want to be a good wife. I want to be a wife. I want to be a good wife. I want to do all the things. I want to have a family. I want to be a great mom. And then what does that mean?
Mhm.
Does that mean, and for me, it did not mean leaving my career to stay home with them. But for a lot of my friends, they were given that opportunity and they took it, they wanted it, they liked it, they thought they'd like it. Maybe they,
Mhm.
and I was like, I need to surround myself with some women that are still like kind of staying this course because that is where I really found I loved it, but I had this constant tug. I grew up, my mom was stayed at home with me and worked, but the majority of kind of my those young years was at home. And so to me, those were the mom things that like I identified with or I thought that I had to do. And man, that was tough. So if I could have a woman kind of like shake, if somebody could have just like shook me a little bit at 30 and 35 to be like, girl, you do you, and you are giving your daughters so many great examples and great things as as an example. And it doesn't mean making their lunch every day does not necessarily. You don't have to do that to be a great mom. And actually, one of my friends did tell me that, and that has stuck with me a few things. But
Mm.
so Power of She, we started that, and that led to Crispin Green. But yeah, we have a few vacation homes in Naples, two vacation homes in Naples, and one here in Excelsior, Minnesota. Um, these things just kind of pop up, and I'm like, that would be really cool. Let's do that. And then I have the Clean Crafted Wine business. Again, just like things that align with my life and my priorities. If I can be a part of it and share it with other people and kind of put it on a platform so that other people can either see it or be inspired by it or take part in it, then I'm excited about it. And I want to be a part of it. But I have learned just because you can doesn't mean you should. That has been my new motto. Because I just was like, yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. Let's take it on. Let's take it on. And I'm like, okay, now we need to focus on, hence why I resigned from the mortgage world earlier this year.
I'm sure that was a lot, but was it difficult to leave a career where that was your identity for so long?
It's very difficult. In fact, I was on like sabbatical for probably 3 years. And sabbatical meaning I was like, I'm not going to focus on this, but I want to still be available. There's just so much, and being a female in an industry, there are more females now, but it's pretty male dominated. There's a lot of men, and not as many women, and not in it for as long. So I was getting a lot of referrals, and I'd have a lot of referral partners that really preferred to work with a female. And I didn't want to give that up. And I didn't want to give up, it's such an intimidating experience. And to have a real trusted professional help you through that is, is super, yeah, is just super helpful. So I didn't want to give that up. And I still, even now, I'm always like, I can always go back to it and I can always make room for it if I feel like I need to. But my husband really helped me to say, Jen, just do it. Like and we can always, Somebody told me this is just an experiment. How about it's just an experiment? Like it doesn't have to be a forever thing. And not, it wasn't about that, but it can be, I've seen that it can be applied to many things. Like this is a phase. This is an era. Um, and it doesn't mean that it's forever. So that helped me to make the decision a little bit easier.
That's a good way of putting it because I think so many of us, when we leave one career that has been our identity for so long, it can feel like too much. And I know a lot of people who will still keep a license active or whatever it is, just so they're like, well, I can always come back to it if it needs some sort of, license extension. And if that's like the safeguard, just to like take the leap, I think that's great, you know.
Well, Power of She came from my real estate lending. So, and I've been doing both of those simultaneously for 7 years, as well as the vacation home rentals. I've had those for 5 years. And so I feel like that real estate kind of led to, and Power of She led to, I mean, as a lender and a lot of careers that you kind of rely on referral partners and you rely on being known, right? And really growing your sphere. It's, something like Power of She or some sort of either networking group or business group or platform that you can kind of be on is super helpful. So to have those things and then to have the other real estate as but more of being a host, it just like one thing evolves to another. And that made it a lot easier for me to kind of close that door because these other opportunities had been opened and I'd been kind of leaning into those more. Um, so that was helpful. And I just look back, I'm like, there's so many, we learn so much from each stage that we're in that totally applies to what I'm doing now. Um, yeah, and I wouldn't be able to do what I'm doing now if it weren't for those experiences.
Yeah, and it's the winding road doesn't always like make sense when you're on the path, but when you look at it reverse, it's like, oh yeah, these things I was doing gave me the skills I need for this, and it makes sense in retrospect for sure.
Yeah.
So when did you start the Power of She? What time?
7 years ago, it'll be our birthday actually here in a couple of weeks. Our first event was October of 2018.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So go over that mission a little bit more. So you said you started this because you wanted to be with like-minded, women who are entrepreneurial focused.
Mhm. So yeah, I've done again. I've had been in sales, real estate forever. So always was looking for a way to be introduced to people and introducing myself and trying to build relationships with referral partners and things like that. But I wanted something different. So I had done we had built a group, B&I group, a realtor friend and I, and some other partners, and that's great because that's a platform to really like share business cards and gain business clients, referral partners. I wanted more so. My idea was something that would support women in their business in a way that could like how can we learn together, how can we overcome our challenges, how can we figure out like the next step or feel better about like the crap that we're dealing with or like what we're going through at the time. And I had a lot several friends that had started their own business, and I'm like, how can I support you? What is it that if you're launching your business, and some of them were brick and mortar, a lot of them were brick and mortar here actually in Blaine. How can I what message can I share with the people that I know, or how can we help you right now? And so that's kind of where it started. And then we would highlight different businesses. So each event that we met, started once a month. It's always been the first Wednesday of the month, and it's always been 4 to 6 p.m., which is a very odd time. And especially for women, because we always have the excuse of like, I need to drive my kids. So I was like, honey, I told my husband, I'm like, I'm going to need your help these days for sure. And back in that time, he was even more flexible with his business. So that was fine. but instead of the breakfast time, instead of the lunchtime, I was like, it's a great little kind of that shoulder between your work day and your evening, your nightlife, or your personal day, your personal evening with your family or whatever you're doing, to be able to have that time. But we would try to highlight a business. So in the beginning, it was like we just rotated through each of the businesses that we had, and like, what's your expertise, or what do you kind of have to share? Or do you want to bring in somebody? Um, Really trying to learn. So what can we learn? And then we started kind of picking topics that would um, go between your personal life and your business life, or how can I upskill in business or learn. We did like there's usually in the beginning of the year, it's something like setting your vision or your intention or this year was how do you introduce yourself when you have many hats, right? And
It was really
how do
this
you,
year.
it
That's
seriously was.
good.
And more so of like, how do you introduce yourself with like, in having in mind, like, what do you want from this introduction? What is your goal? Who do you want to meet? Um, kind of that. So instead of just introducing yourself, but like what can I kind of get out of this, or who am I? What is my intention here with my introduction?
Mhm.
Um, so and then we usually go into like a wellness or like a health focused or women's health in the beginning of the year. We usually have money topics. So it's like whether or not it's tax or investing or estate planning, some of those things that we don't maybe want to talk about, but we definitely need to know. Um, and we have some fun events. And then we usually wrap up the year with like, we just did the power of calm, the calm approach to communication, and that kind of with back to school routines and family meetings and or communicating even with your team, if and aging kids. So as they're leaving the house, right? Like, how do we keep that conversation or communication going? And then we'll do our birthday event in October. We love to do like like a gather and gratitude for November. We're going to do a vendor showcase this year. And then our give back event is in December. And this is the first year we're going to be combining with another women's group. And it should be pretty big. Okay, we'll see.
Cool. That's in November.
That is December. Yeah.
Okay. That's
Yeah.
awesome. So, and it started with just a pocket full of women, and how many do you have in your community now?
So, yeah, I mean, it was, like 8 of us, I think, gathered for the first event. And it's been the first several years, I kind of liked it cozy, right? It was like 8, 12, 16 in that area. Now, it's been kind of 25 consistently for the past couple of years. And this year was the first year, again, with resigning from mortgage. I was like, well, let's maybe give Power of She just a little bit more breath. Like, what if we kind of open the gates and just let people um, let it get a little bit bigger? And we've seen it's been more like 40 plus. So we're planning on, 50, 60 for our birthday and at least 50 for the give back event.
That's
So it's
fantastic.
fun. And we
Yeah,
just started doing pop-ups in the South Metro and the East Metro. Um, so kind of introducing ourselves to those communities.
fun. And so it's once a month, you said?
Yeah,
First,
first Wednesday.
I'm just writing that down to remind myself because I remember when I first connected with you and I was like, oh, this is right up my alley. This is what I have been looking for, and this is what I need. And I don't know, probably like most moms can resonate with, but my stuff a lot of times tends to go on the back burner. And I know that, self-care and prioritizing yourself is incredibly important. But I have, yeah, I am known to just kind of put my stuff off to the side and okay, I'll do the driving or I'll do whatever it is. So
Yeah.
it's a great reminder, as you were talking about earlier. the things that really light us up and make us excited and tap into our passion for whatever it is that we're doing, those things we need to keep up with because then we're going to show it better for our kids and our marriage and just everybody.
Absolutely. That you nailed it. I mean, if you can just pour a little bit into yourself and even say like, this is my one thing this week or whatever, you'll just every time and I will say, I will be completely honest. There are definitely events that come up that I'm like, oh, like
Sure.
it's not a good week or not a good day, or I'm like, it's stressing me out or whatever. There has never been an event that I've left and thought that was a waste of my time. Or, it's always just like it breathes so much life and energy. And I leave seeing, luckily other women are giving me feedback about like how much they appreciate it or what that topic did for them or who they met or whatever. And love it. So it's always giving me energy for not only that night, but just kind of to kick me through the rest of the week. And
For sure. And I think that that's just kind of a good rule of thumb. And I remember my mom, she would always used to say, slap some lipstick on and you'll be fine. Like, just like if you get invited to something, like don't overthink it and just go. And I've really tried to remember that because I haven't gone to something like that where I've regretted going afterwards, you know?
never. Yeah, no.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
always feels good.
I do say, I will say though, I've been protecting my schedule more. So
Yeah,
being more intentional about what events I'm doing. And so knowing like if I have power of chi that week, like I'm going to say no to a happy hour or no to, I'm not going to like try to go to like a book club that week or something like that, right? Like I try to really protect my time a little bit more. But I have been intentional about like a book club is another thing that I love because it's again a smaller group of women that I mean, sure we read books and we'll talk about them, but it's more so mamas getting together and just kind of catching up and talking about whatever is weighing on them at the time. I really love it. And even if it's only 3 or 4 of us, um, I'll really prioritize that. Uh, Somebody told me, or I read somewhere that kind of your core four, you don't need a lot of it's not about, like if you're social, like having big groups or going to all the things. It's about your core four people that so I've kind of identified, right? Like who fills me up when I'm leave space with them or after when I have a good conversation with them, and just prioritizing them. And honestly, it's once a month. I mean, we're not talking about daily, weekly. We're
right.
not getting crazy, but to try to just have a little bit of that
Yeah. Yeah, there's definitely something about uh as we get older being more protective of our energy and just balancing being a wife, being a mom, and if you're, if you have a career, uh I'm very cautious of where I invest my time, the things that I want to invest in. I'm like, okay, yes, I'm all in. But yeah, I think I used to be so much more of a yes person. And it was probably, like people pleasing tendencies and not wanting to let anybody down. But um, letting go of that has been not only freeing, but just being able to be my authentic self and then bringing that forward. I think I'm better off for it. The people around me are better off for it. People who are not for me will fall off, and the people who are, will grow. So yeah, that's been one of the best things I think about this stage in life.
for sure. Yeah, being able to just be, yeah, you get to choose and being more confident in those decisions too. Yeah, when my kids were young, I felt like I needed to do all of it,
Mhm.
all the things, any invitation that I got, I needed to say yes. And I'm feeling much more confident in saying that's not going to fit
Yeah.
into my week or into my schedule.
I want to talk about crisp and green because I think I've talked to so many different people about it would be cool to open a, restaurant or bar restaurant or open a franchise or whatever. And I think the average person has very little clue how to go about that. I know I don't. And so, when you do something like that, obviously you're health conscious. So crisp and green aligns with, your values. But how did that process even start and come about?
So I got I wanted actually to open to do like a boutique gym long time ago. And so well before COVID. Um, and because part of the like my health journey after I had all my kids, then I was like, okay, now I'm gonna get back to like invest in myself, my health. Um, and so I joined a boutique gym kind of by here and where I live and loved it. I just thought it gave kind of a great introduction to wellness, but also a way to just like really weave it into your day. Um, and so it gave me, yeah, I was like, I kind of want to open a gym. So I looked into that a lot. My dad said, Jen, if you want to open a gym, just know that it will basically like a lot of people do that to replace their job, right? So that then becomes your full-time job. And I was like, oh, that's not what I want to do it. I want to do this for like just on the side. And he's like, yeah, I think that's probably not the right business model to be on the side. I'm like, okay. So kind of put that to the side a little bit. Um, and then my friend Brandy, who I've met, our daughters are the same age and they played soccer together, but I got to know her more with Power of She. And she just sold this business, but Urban Air Adventure Park in Coon Rapids.
Oh yeah.
So all the kids get to, yep. And so she owned that and she really wanted to, she came to me and said, I would like to open a crisp and green or invest in crisp and greens. Um, you can't have just one. So she went to somebody that she knows in the area that knows a lot of people. Actually, was again part of the spark to start Power of She. And that woman said, "Do you know Jennifer Dierkhising? You got to ask her. If you want to go into business with somebody, or if you want to invest in something like this, ask her." And I'm like, okay, that was a huge compliment, but I loved it because crisp and green, yes, it's a restaurant. Yes, it's a fast casual. It's scratch made. Again, aligns with my values. Chef crafted, so super yummy. But they really prioritize wellness. And they were like doing fitness events every month at the store at the restaurant. So again, Power of She, I'm putting on fitness wellness events for an audience. And then now Crisp and Green, serving fresh food and offering wellness events to, and really partnering with like all these different gyms. So I'm like, well, this is kind of cool that it matches everything together. And so I thought, yeah, and this was basically during COVID. It was 2020 that she came to me. And I mean, what better time to open up a restaurant, right? And I brought it to my husband, expecting him to be like, yeah, I don't think that's a good idea. And he was like, yeah, we can do that. So I was like, okay, let's do it. Um,
That's
and
a
yeah, so it was just a lot of then like exploratory and nothing really came up. I was more so like leaning in, like, is this something that we could do? What would this involve? And every time we kind of were learning more, I'm like, this is pretty great. And the concept is obviously we love, but even the company itself, they're doing good things and really bringing something to the Midwest. There's other restaurants and franchises that are similar, but to bring it to the Midwest, it started here in Wayzata, Minnesota. So that was pretty great.
that's so the fact that this was a woman that you already know and somebody said you need to meet or you need to talk to Jennifer
Yeah,
Durkheim.
yeah.
That's pretty
And
wild.
she was looking, so my friend was looking for a business partner and she went to an acquaintance of mine. I mean, I we would totally be friends if our lives if we just had more time to hang out together. But we knew each other a long time ago, and kind of in the lending world have still crossed paths and stayed connected. And she said, you need to talk to Jen. So
So,
it's been great. And again, like I say, like the things that we learned in prior, part of my lending, much of my lending life, I was at Wells Fargo. So big box store, right? Big corporate, all the reports, all the stuff. I mean, I managed a big team there. And so really learned like managing a business is what that taught me. And I had no idea that this is how I would use it. But that led to, and then I was leaning more so into the connecting with people and kind of again, filling a room. And that's why, honestly, Brandy came to me too, because they were like, Jen knows a lot of people like this is, or to get the store, known or connected with businesses, catering, stuff like that. That's kind of where I started with Crispin Green or with our partnership. But it led to, I mean, you got to manage the business, right, and manage the P&L. So that is more so what I leaned into also, which is fun. When you own a business, you just wear all the hats.
mhm, mhm. So, and you said you can't own just one. Was that like being tongue in cheek, or do you really need more? Do you need to own multiple?
So it's actually a really good rule, but it's Crispin Green. A lot of franchises, I think, but some franchises will not let you just have one.
Okay.
You have to have multiple. And so Crispin Green was you had to have, I think, six, but during COVID, they allowed, then they came, so they had told Brandy, Minnesota is sold. We don't have any available in Minnesota. And but you can have other states. And she was like, well, I kind of want to do this in Minnesota first before I try it in other states. And then during COVID, they came back to her and said, we have some Minnesota territories available, and we would allow you to do just three instead of six.
Oh,
So
amazing.
we did have to buy three territories. So that's why we have Blaine and Stillwater, and we have the territory of Shoreview. Um, but we just haven't found. We found some real estate, but like that is a whole monster in itself. Is finding the right real estate so that we like that corporate will approve that meets kind of um, obviously city and all the numbers. So we
Yeah.
have some things in the works, but Shoreview is going through a lot of like reconstruction and stuff like that. So
Okay. Well, that and inventory is, I mean, I guess I don't know what it is for commercial real estate, but it seems to be down throughout.
yes, that's a really good point. Commercial is going to have its own kind of life, but some that we've been interested, and again, it's like we have a certain amount of space. uh Crispin Green really requires it to be on an end cap with a patio, like you got to have all of the things that if you want to go to Crispin Green, like you want it to be um yeah, to align with the brand standards.
Sure.
So there's been some spots. There's one in particular that we really want, but the building, like, and in Blaine, if you we have a pod out in the parking lot from the gym, so they built that. We've actually asked Shoreview for approval to do something like that, but they want to redo. The city wants them all to be redone.
Okay.
So maybe like insider information. I don't know.
Yeah.
So we're kind of waiting for that to happen. But
Well, I'm gonna
you know
cross.
of any Shoreview real estate that would be great for Crispin Green, let me know.
Well, I'm gonna cross my fingers for that one.
Thanks.
I mean, one of the things that I was thinking about before talking to you too, I was like, okay, you've got your hands in all kinds of different businesses. And I was just having a conversation with one of my best friends the other day about her kiddo. And I said something like, well, that could that could just be like her, like she's kind of was acting dramatic and kind of playing with, different ways she was talking to her parents. And I'm like, but that seems to be more of just like she's playing and that's her personality and she's trying this out and she's trying this out and let's see how that'll land. And so, then we started saying like, I wonder what she's going to do when she's older and if this is like hints into the future. So I'm always curious what people were like as a kid and how you see that has translated into who you are as an adult.
Um, yeah, I actually, nobody, I would have never guessed that these are the things that I would do. When I was a kid, I wanted to be, or I don't know if I think I kind of wanted to be it, but my parents were like, you should be a news anchor. I'm like, okay, I mean, that's a little bit boring. Maybe like a fun news anchor or like a VJ, right? Do you remember?
That's
Um,
what I was just thinking. I was thinking VJ, like MTV,
oh
VJ's
my gosh.
coolest
And
job.
if somebody would have just given me like an inch of confidence to say, yeah, you could totally do that and make a great career out of it, I would have. To be like a travel, and that's my to be a travel blogger, I
Yeah.
would take up that job in a second. Um, but yeah, I was very organized, studious, um, loved math. Numbers were like my jam. Um, so, I went into finance and the lending. I actually wanted to be a stockbroker
Wow.
in like college. And didn't only because they were like, oh, you just work too much. Um, you know, and looking back, I'm like, well, I work too much. I mean, that's just kind of how I was, um, made or what I do. So, but that led to, lending and then, um, just, yeah.
You might
So
be the first female I've talked to who, as a kid or younger, wanted to be a stockbroker. Where did that come from?
I had an internship with American Express in college and loved it. I worked on the floor but on the bonds floor, but I got to go to the stock floor, like, because we were right. They were one level up or below us. So I would, wake up at, I don't know, 6 a.m. or whatever, early. Felt really early, especially in college. And I would report to work by 7 a.m. And my first task every day was to read the Wall Street Journal.
Oh.
So I remember sitting at my table and reading the Wall Street Journal with a cup of coffee, trying to stay awake. And then the highlight would be, I'd be able to sit in the meetings and we'd look at dollars and numbers. And so it was either, yeah, it was stockbroker or financial planner. Also, I was thinking I would have loved. But I started working for Wells Fargo Financial, and I didn't. And I honestly chose it because of the people that I worked with were really great. They were like all super outgoing, really just fun people. Um, and I didn't really even know. And we did loans instead of like finance. We financed things instead of like managing people's finances. But yeah, I loved it enough, and it was very competitive. So I was again one of not many women that was in the position. I think two of us, there might have been more, but two of us ladies were like the top of our kind of our like class, right? Of all the people that started at Wells Fargo at the time. And I got rookie of the year my first year. And I remember I just really pissed off the boys.
Well,
They
that
were,
doesn't surprise me you got that. Okay, so
yeah.
then but I have to ask, because I know we talked about this before, and I think I remember, but what is your birth order?
Mm. Oh, yeah, I'm first.
Yeah, you're first. Yeah, shocker.
Mhm. Yeah,
Um,
so you are youngest of three sisters.
I am. Yeah.
I am firstborn of three sisters, not old, but firstborn of three sisters.
Yeah.
And I have three daughters of my own.
Okay. Yeah. So we're a good yin and yang. I feel like there's a lot of entrepreneurs that are both oldest and youngest. And I feel like oldest, it's more about because you are go-getters and you're kind of like wave makers. And I feel like for us babies, it's more about just wanting to do what we want to do, kind of the rebel in us. I know the middles are kind of the rebels too, but yeah, I never liked the structure of I loved teaching and I loved working with students and with literature and writing and all of that. But I never liked the structure of somebody else defining my day and how yeah, I mean, people think teachers have so much flexibility. I don't think so at all. Summer's off, but yeah, it's very structured.
Yeah.
So that never vibed with me, and because of that, I knew I wasn't going to stay in it for the long haul. But yeah, it's so fascinating. Okay, so you're the oldest. That tracks.
Yeah.
You have two younger sisters.
Hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. My sisters are 5 years younger. One is 5 years younger than me, and the other is 13 years younger than me.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
So not only am I firstborn, but I was kind of like
Yeah.
mama bird also to
Yeah.
my baby sister.
So with three daughters, do you see birth order like classical in them
I'm
without
glad you
on
asked because
blast?
my firstborn is not at all a typical firstborn. I'm encouraging to go to entrepreneurial school because she is one that's like, you can't, if you tell her what to do, she's just going to do the opposite.
Yeah.
She's definitely not going to do it if you tell her that's what you want her to do.
Yeah. Okay. So,
And but she is okay, so she is typical in the way that she is such a leader. She's such a leader, like she doesn't know how much of a leader she is, right? Like we've had the conversation that honey in school, like you really have to, and she's like, well, other people are, screwing off or whatever. And I'm like, I'm sorry, but you people are looking at you, and they're paying attention to what you're doing. And that's why the teacher is paying attention. And we just got to the point where I'm like, you're going to have this for the rest of your life that you are being looked at as a leader, even if you don't want to be. I'm sorry, you can't hide. But she is, yeah, and she just loves to be around people. But she's also coming into, she realizes that she needs she calls it something where her basically like recover time, which I'm like, oh my God, I didn't know that I needed that when I was your age.
mm,
My middle is she's a thinker. I think she's definitely, well, a typical middle child, but not in the like crazy middle child way. In the kind of like, we have to, like, I have to, I have to make room, like play a place for her. Otherwise, she's just like, she'll be like, I'm good. When she was at 2 years old, she would leave, she would put herself to bed. We'd be like, where did Julia go? She just crawled up to her room with her little animal and she's already in bed.
that's
And
fun.
what's weird is my baby is she's so on schedule. She will never be late. I mean, it like panics if she's even running any late. Um, she's a list like does loves to clean, loves to I mean, she like washes her water bottle with the washer, right? Like she does that. None of my other kids
Oh,
ever wash their water bottle.
yeah. This is your baby. Oh, I
This is
feel
my
like
baby.
yeah,
She
your
was,
baby and the oldest are like
it's,
flapped. Yeah.
it's crazy. But it's fun. I mean, it's just so love to see the differences in their personalities and like they're only 3 years apart. So it's not like they're not as spread out as I was when we grew up. So pretty much same parenting, right? Same environment, and they're just also different. It's really fun to see.
That's so awesome. I love the different dynamics and yeah, I mean, obviously every kid comes in with their own soul and their own path that they're going to have their own quirks um and things about them. But I always wonder what their how their siblings impact if the parenting styles impacts the way that they operate. I mean, no question our son has had a more lax version of us because, you know, you have your first kid and you try to do everything by the book and to the T, and then you have another one that's like, okay, well, I've learned some things along the way. It doesn't have to be that structured or that rigid. Or now our schedule is a little different because we have older kids, so you're going to stay up a little later, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, my sister has younger boys. Both of my sisters now have all boys. I have all girls and they have all boys. And we were talking about something and I just love how I'm like, "Oh, yeah, that's cute. Yeah. That's like a cute like first, or a first baby or a second baby. But I'm like it's been so my one sister she just had a baby and her other child is 9 years old. So there's a big gap in there, right? It's been a while since she's had a baby. And so some of the things she didn't want to, she might not come to our family wedding because she was like to be in the car that long and like how often do you have to feed them and all this stuff. And I was just like, oh, like to think through. I was like, I would have never thought through any of that with my baby. I would have
Right.
just been like, we're just doing it and we'll figure it out, right?
Right. Yeah. Just by necessity because your lives are so much busier.
Yeah.
Okay, so with your busy life, being a mom of three, owning many businesses, being a wife, what does your daily schedule look like, or like the hacks you've had to keeping habits so that you're optimizing your time and being productive in all the things that you do?
Um, Really good question and like loaded, right? There's a lot there. It is always a work in progress. But I'm, I'm just really, I'm really proud of keeping some of the boundaries that I've been able to keep. I don't know if I love the word boundaries, but it's applicable here. Um, One thing that I feel a little silly sometimes, or sometimes like too strict on, but it's been so helpful is batch work, batching my work, right? Because if I have, especially if you're if you have different things, I'm sure you do this too, right? Like today's a podcast day and record your podcast, whatever. When you're in a zone, you're in that zone and it's so much easier to keep going, right? If you allow yourself to be interrupted. And I was allowing so I really wanted to build this flexibility. I wanted the flexibility so that I could answer my kids' text or pick them up if I needed to, or do what I wanted to, go golfing for a day or go on a boat ride, right? Like I love to be outside. I wanted to build in that flexibility. But if I let myself be interrupted all the time, then I was never getting anything done. And I felt like things were just constantly piling up. So batching work, I love. So I really try to protect like Monday's my Crispin Green day, Wednesday's my Power of She day, Tuesday, Thursday has been my in the past like lending, and now kind of has moved to either catch up of the others or the Naples homes, things like that. And then I do try to keep a free day. Usually it's just catch up, but so batch work for sure. Must this be addressed now? So thinking like when you get, I loved in real estate kind of formed this that when something would come in, you would drop everything and I would address that and I would solve for that. And I took such great pride in the timeliness of our process in real estate, specifically lending, that we were, oh my God. I mean, I could put out fires, I could solve for things in no time, and we were quick. I would never let anything go like a whole day. But then I would see all these other businesses were like, it'll take us 7 to 10 days to get back to you, or this is when we're available to whatever. I'm like, oh my gosh, so finding that balance and then communicating that. So knowing like this is obviously you're not going to leave things unanswered for like a week or days, but communicating what that might be and then holding yourself to that as much as you can. Because really, most of the time, and now, yeah, now I do a lot of like volunteer stuff for the kids, or all those different logistics for their sports and stuff like that. So, um, finding a way to, yeah, to batch that, and then using your strengths, and then not having to do all of it yourself, or not doing it alone. Um, so being able to utilize others and asking for help, right? When you need it.
Yeah, and I think that might be one of the hardest parts for entrepreneurs is knowing when to delegate, and sometimes who to delegate things to, but letting go of that. I think when you're building something, you have like full ownership over everything, and your arms are in everything, and you know how it's done. But in order to grow, you've got to start pulling people in. So relinquishing some of that control can be tough,
Yeah, for
but so
sure.
necessary.
Yes. For
Yeah.
yourself.
Those are great. So batch work has absolutely saved me as well. Staying in that zone when you're in it, and and I when I first started, it was the same thing. I wanted to be so responsive and to give as much to my clients as possible, but that's not sustainable. And when you start to have more than, two, three, and you have, 15, 20 at a time, you can't respond to everybody right away. And so I was setting unrealistic expectations for, both of us. And you realize that no, it doesn't have to be an immediate response.
Yeah. Yeah.
But and then ways to carve out flexibility, that's when you're able to do all of those things and be efficient with your time, then it does really open up time. So important.
Well, yeah, being on when you're on, and then being off when you're off. And I say that, I mean, I'm always connected, but meaning like when you're when you're doing your work and you're giving your thing, like really do it, give it all. Don't try to multitask, or like you're only giving it half of your attention. Give it all and do it really well, so that you feel better about when you're stepping away, or when you're like, I can't do that today, but I can do that tomorrow, or I can do that on Thursday, or whatever it might be. And then the other person too is like confident that, well, last time I asked Jen to do something, she did it like 110%. So I'm confident that it will happen, and it will, um, but it just might not be on their requested schedule, right?
Right.
I saw something that said, my or your lack of preparedness is not my problem.
Mm,
So when somebody, and again, this was kind of in the real estate days, when somebody would come to you with like a fire that they needed attention right now, is that your fault,
mhm.
or was it their fault? And if if it wasn't your fault and you didn't do anything wrong, you can absolutely fix it or help with it or solve for it. This is when I'm going to be able to do it. I mean, it's
Right.
easier said than done, but just a little something, a little nugget that I've kind of tried to work through.
Yeah. No, it's super important. I think it helps to preserve your sanity and just to really create transparency of when you can give your all to something and when it's not an appropriate time.
Mhm.
Totally agree. So, okay, so when do you start your day? Because that's you're fitting a lot in, right? With mommying, doing all of that. I mean, are you one of those wake up at four something?
No,
Okay.
no. I also like my sleep. Well, but I will say sleep has only become a priority in the last couple of years. Yes, I used to work out at 6 a.m. So I would wake up at whatever, 5:15. Um, but now I do 7 at the gym. Again, the purpose of designing flexibility in my day was to try to like, yeah, also um, lean and prioritize wellness.
Mhm.
So sleep is a big deal.
It's
And
huge.
I try to like, I don't want to be at path 10. I don't really like to be at path 10.
Mhm.
So I try to get, 8 hours. Yeah. So I like to go to the gym at 7. But honestly, with back to school, I just told my business partner, Brandy, last week, I said, I'm really going to try to go to the gym at 9:30 a lot of days here in September because if I go at 7, I don't see my kids in the morning.
Hmm.
And now having a senior and knowing that this is might be her last year, next year she will be somewhere else going to school, hopefully. I even if I only get to see her for 3 minutes, I want to be here for that.
Hmm.
Um, so again, it's an experiment. We're doing it for the month of September, and it doesn't work every day, but I'm going to try that. Knowing your strengths.
Yeah.
So now I kind of flipped, and now I work first, and then do my workout. 9:30 to 10:30, whatever. And then I own a restaurant now, but I do love cooking. I like to make meals for my family. I didn't used to hate it, but when I was in an office all day, it really wore on me to be able to come home and then immediately have to be in the kitchen and cooking and then cleaning the kitchen up. And then my free time didn't even start until like 7 p.m. And sometimes the sun was already down. And for somebody that likes nature, loves nature, it's essential. I would get really crabby. So now I've realized that as long as I can have a time outside before I start cooking dinner, so whether or not that's a walk or just like 15 minutes sitting outside, I try to eat lunch outside as much as possible. That changes my whole day.
Hmm. Isn't it wild how much just being outside changes things? I think that's been one of the biggest benefits too of being home. I have a huge dog and being able to go on multiple walks with him during the day to take little breaks and just get
But
sun, or even if it's a cloudy day, but just to get outside and get moving. Yeah, it's a game
I
changer.
had no idea how like life-giving that was for me. Had no idea. But yeah, even just 15 minutes, an hour is awesome. But
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Um, Well, that's great. I love to hear that you are flexible with your mornings and juggle that with the family. I used to do the very early mornings too, and now that the alarms go off at 6:30 because my kids are getting up, I'm like, okay, that is the earliest I'm getting up right now. Half the time we they don't even get done with activities until 10. Like even
yeah,
last year, my son, who was still in elementary school, would have like a baseball game until 10 o'clock sometimes. And so we're not getting home until later and you're
yeah.
winding down. And yeah, so I sleep so important. You spoke to how the batching, what is the term again? The batch work.
Batch work. Yeah.
Um, how that has changed so much for your business. What about, I think a lot of people who are wondering how to invest in themselves and their business growth wonder where is the best way to put your investment. And I've had different things, whether it's investing in, equipment for podcast or for business coaches or different social media things. What have you what have you found that has been the most beneficial for you, where you're like, I'm so glad I invested in this, um, and I would recommend it to people?
That is a really good question. I have done a lot of different business coaching. I do like that. That was effective earlier in my career. Whether or not it's like sales coaching, just somebody to keep you accountable. Um, I'm not to the point yet that I want or feel like I need that again now, but I would say that that is, and especially if you have like specific goals that you're trying to attain, and then the steps, like doing the backwards math or the backwards steps to like how do I get there? Super helpful. Um, but I would look at it more of investing my time and I mean, power of she or like surrounding yourself with people that are either figuring out where it is that you want to go, where you want to be, what it is that you want to do, and finding some people that have maybe are already there or already doing it, and getting in the room with them, finding time to just spend time with them and mimic because I'm a big copy and paster too. Like I can duplicate anything. So you just tell me what I need to do to get there, and I will copy and paste and duplicate. those steps. Um, so yeah, you're right. Tools are everything. Tools are essential. So if there's a tool that will save you time, or really like a quality tool that will help you in your business, but I would say it's more so for me learning. I love learning, and I feel like that's always helping me get better. And um, but investing your time to either learn or be coached or be with people that are where you want to be would be my biggest.
Great advice. Do you have like
Um,
a book or a something that has stuck out to you has really changed your idea on how to approach business life?
the catapult for me with kind of a lot of my way of thinking was Lean In by Sheryl Sandberg.
Mm.
It's old, it's not new. But she talks about not only having women at the table and women in C-suite positions, but women really leaning in and realizing that I mean, it's cliche, but like our words, our approach matters, and is really different than the men in the room. Um, and that it's just going to be better for everybody if our leadership, our C-suite, our leadership, business owners better reflect our um, environment, and that's just means more women.
That's cool. I'm not familiar with that book. I'm gonna have to link it.
Now look it up.
If you could talk to younger you and just give like one piece of advice, and I'm sure I have some younger listeners to the podcast and previous students and a younger demographic that tune in. So, what would you say to a younger self that's just kind of dipping their toes into their?
Well, this has become much more common. But normalizing self-care for women, personalized self-care for yourself. So we might think self-care like, oh yeah, I should do yoga, or I should read a book, or I should take a bath, or I should go on a walk. Well, not everybody's, it doesn't, each of those things doesn't do the same thing for everybody, right? Some people might really like to go to be around, to go to happy hour, be around people. Somebody else might want to sit and read a book. So figuring out what that is, that would be number one. It's a little cliche. So my other would be really take some risks and figure out what it is that would be like if if you couldn't fail, what would you do? And having the courage and the confidence to do those things, or to do that, like lean into it. Let's explore it. Let's do an experiment and see what it would be like.
Yeah,
Right? I wish somebody would have told me that about the travel vlog. Like, let's just do it. Let's just try it.
right.
See what happens. What's the worst thing could happen? It doesn't work out. Then you can go to be a banker.
Well, that could still be in your future. Maybe that's chapter two when the
It might be.
duck
Yeah.
ends the nest. Yeah, that's fantastic advice. And, when I was younger, I feel like the messages we were all getting was how can you best play it safe and to find something where you're going to have a guaranteed paycheck. And it was all about like safety. And that was the whole thing of that Piscean generation was like order, structure, you do this, and then you get a job, you go to college, and then you get a job. Um, and it's very refreshing to see that we are moving into better tapping into ourselves and what lights you up. And then you can figure out how are you going to get paid to do that.
Yes. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. Because you can, yeah, and we can always fall back to, yeah, there's always going to be another option, we're gaining experiences and we're gaining skills. So it's never, well, it's usually not a waste of time, especially
Right.
if you're, um, yeah, you're really gaining some experience.
For sure. Taking risks are, you're gonna gain something no matter what.
Mhm.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. I'm super excited to come to the Power She and really prioritize it as we've talked about.
Yay.
Make it make that self-care part of me, um,
Love it.
yeah, a priority because I really the extrovert in me loves being around people. And then of course I love just listening to people's stories. So it's all right up my alley. So I appreciate
That'd
you.
be great. Well,
Uh,
you have great timing because October 8th is our birthday party. So if you can make that one, you're going to meet a lot of really
oh,
awesome women.
very cool.
But,
We will link the various the Power She, anything else in
oh,
the
awesome. Okay.
well, so that hopefully some other people come out and join
That'd
us.
be great. That'd be great. Well, thank you, Lindsay. Thank you for
Yeah,
asking me to be a part of this. It's super flattering. It's always fun talking to you.
for sure. You too. From our first coffee date to this, I'm like, well, we don't run out of things to talk about. So
No, yeah.
the last time.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Lindsay.